Welcome to Village Talk Podcast with hosts Cortland Jones and Shauna Felton King. Village Talk highlights the views and voices of the community. And now your hosts, Cortland Jones and Shauna Felton King.
Hello, and welcome to Village Talk, where we highlight the views and the voices of the community. I am Shauna Felton King, and I am here with my co-host, Cortland Jones. Hey, Cortland, how you doing today?
Hey, Shauna, how are you? And hello, everybody.
Yeah, it's always so great to be here on Village Talk and to connect. And we've got a really special show today, and I'm just excited. We're going to jump right in, and we're excited that our listeners are with us. And we've got some faithful who've really been tuning into our time together, but they're really going to enjoy this conversation today. If there are students or youth on the line, or parents or educators, I mean, we went through a lot to get our guest here tonight, and she is going to be amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce her so that we can all know who's going to be talking with us on Village Talk today. So today we welcome Miss Linnita Hosten, and she is a student success strategist. That's a triple S. I love that. The student success strategist. And she coaches students to identify and go after their dream career. Cortland, did you have a dream career when you were a teenager?
I did after leaving college.
You had a dream career? You know, and I don't know if I had a dream career, but I really wish I had someone who helped me to determine what my dream career was, you know, not just a job, but to be able to have a dream career. And so Linnita first of all, she's a high energy edutainer, which provides content-packed and research-based programming for organizations, universities, and community groups. And she also does group coaching to students. Now listen to this. Linnita has been honored with awards including Excellence in Education, Youth Speaker of the Year, 40 Under 40 in Education, Education Book of the Year, and Alumni of the Year. So it feels funny to just keep talking about her. Let me go ahead and welcome to the Village Talk couch. Welcome Linnita Hosten to Village Talk. Woohoo!
Thank you. Thank you to our awesome co-host. Thanks for having me today.
We're happy to have you.
Yeah. So we're gonna jump in because Cortland and I know a little bit about you, but we want our listeners to know a little bit about how you kind of came to the work that you're doing. If I were to just kind of say how you ended up becoming this student success strategist, that's, like I said, I just love that. Tell us a little bit about your journey to become the student success strategist.
Sure. So my first role out of undergrad was working in an outreach department at the University System of Maryland. And they were sending me all across the state to do outreach at middle school. So I'd been to almost every middle school in the state of Maryland, Western Maryland, Eastern Maryland, Southern Maryland. And I was doing basically assembly, sometimes 6 to 8 in a day, because we would space them out to get to every student. And I was doing messages on college preparation. And so while doing that, I ran into a guy who asked me, "No, do you speak about anything else?" And I told them, "No, I don't." And it happened again at another event when I was in Southern Maryland, Charles County to be exact. And they asked, "Do you speak about, can you come to my school to this girls event?" And so that's where it started. And that was in 2013. I decided, you know, maybe there's a message inside of me. And I got my speaking journey started that way, and I started working with students from that perspective. So I'd say that's how I got my feet wet.
That's awesome. So you kind of just were doing the work before you decided to do the work. You were already just doing it. That's amazing. Did you find that you had a personal passion? Was this something that you were telling your story in your speaking? You were just giving information. Tell us about that.
I found that students were listening, and even the students who were initially uninterested. It's so funny when you put 300 middle schoolers into a gymnasium and you say, "Hey, listen to a presentation." You know how that goes as educators. And it's only those presenters who are really gifted in communicating that can really maximize that time. It's not, you know, actually that's a very good place to get your feet wet because those kids are honest. They will not listen. They will talk over you. You have to earn their listening ears. So that's where I got my stripes from. And that's how I learned to be engaging and what wins them over. And so, yeah, I learned that what got me more passionate about the work was seeing their light bulb go off, that they were actually listening. There was an opportunity to impact them, and they were receptive.
I think Cortland and I both, both of us had spent time in middle school working with middle school kids. You are so right, because Cortland, can you imagine a cafeteria or auditorium full of middle school students and trying to get them to listen to one speaker? That's tough.
I'm still working on trying to get 30. So
I have 2 in my house. I'm working on 2.
Yeah.
That's just wonderful. I want to be able to make sure that our listeners understand the what you do, what you offer. I mean, so you speak to students, you speak to parents. Tell me who your target audience is. Who is your main client as an entrepreneur? Where do you target?
So I think that's the pain point of most entrepreneurs, finding your niche. And it took me about, I started in 2013. I didn't get a defined niche until 2018, 5 years to finally come to the conclusion that those students whom are in the high school and approaching college, perhaps maybe their first year, that's my niche. And that became clear as I wrote my first book, The College Strategy, in which we were giving students practical ways in which they could leverage their college experience, because statistically and through my own experience, I was seeing students struggle transitioning from college into the workplace. And I found that preparation period happens at the high school level. And so my target audience is high school students, freshmen, sophomore, rising, juniors, and seniors. And in some instances, that first year of college aged of a student, because not every student decides to go to college. And I work with those too. I work with a student now who went the untraditional route. He's not interested in college. He's not interested in trade school. He tried Job Corps, and his mom found me on Facebook. So, I mean, that college aged and the high school age is probably my niche. That's not probably, it is.
Yeah. And Cortland has, I'm going to let him jump in, because Cortland's got 2 college age students right now. Mine are a little bit younger and stuff like right now. So I'm on my way there, but I'm thinking about, how do we really help parents? Because the parent who reached out to you on Facebook who's saying, help my son, I can almost hear already, I don't know a thing about the story, but I can almost hear her saying, help, my son doesn't want to do this. He doesn't want to do this. But, as parents, we want the best for our children. We want them to have a path forward. So while we want to encourage them, we're also a little nervous when sometimes they don't follow that traditional route that I think many parents assume that they should follow. And, how do you help coach that parent who's a little nervous for this rising high school student or on their way to finishing their high school program?
Anything outside of norm is scary. It's naturally scary. It's uncomfortable because there's no proof. There's no certainty. It's like walking into a dark room and not knowing whom is inside. And so I tell parents that that's a normal feeling. And I give them practical examples of people whom have done it. And one of the things that I love to do with students is share other stories with them, because they can see, that it's possible. We can only dream based off of what we see and observe and what are told. Our dreams are limited to what we are exposed to. So the first thing that I love to do is expose parents to, I have seen it done before. Here's an example, multiple examples, giving them quantifiable examples, allowing them to meet other people who are doing non-traditional things. It starts to open your eyes and your ears and to say, okay, well, maybe this is something that my students can pursue. The other thing that really pulls at my heart is the division that it causes in the house when a child wants to really go their own route, which is very non-traditional. It really does cause division. It's anxiety, it's fear for the parent, it's upset, it's really lack of control. And then on the student's part is, I want to be heard, I feel ignored, I feel suppressed. And, sometimes those relationships break beyond repair, and parents have to win their adult child back. And so, I think at this stage, while they're young, I hate the word manipulate, but while they are young, middle school, early 9th grade, 10th grade, you really have the greatest influence to kind of shape and expose them, and as a parent to be exposed. And so that's always my go-to when we talk about, what about the non-traditional things and parents feeling fearful, is getting the exposure of what's possible.
I love that. And thank you, Shauna, for allowing me to step in. We have about 5 minutes before we take our break, Linnita. So talk to us about the experience that prepared you for what you're doing now for both parents and youth, and either before or after the break, the importance of the village in this process that you're talking about.
Well, I think I attribute some of it to the relationship that my mom and I have, or had when I was a child, and now have as an adult. And it was a hard one. It was one that was strained, as they say. My mom was the helicopter mom in my eyes. In her eyes, she was probably the concerned and involved parent, but in my eyes, she was helicopter. Rawr. And so, but she was always intentional, and she was engaged. She was active. She helped me think critically. And so having that kind of support, I think I would attribute to my journey. Also, I would say after working with students whom are at the high school level, they transition into college, seeing them matriculate through the college process and struggle with transitioning life after college, that's also contributed to my work too, because I see their pain point happening. I can see it evolve. It's almost like clockwork. When a student tells me what they're studying and I ask them, well, what are you doing in between that time? I can almost predict like what will happen at the end of graduation. And so I think being living it and then working with students firsthand, I think both have contributed to the work for sure.
All right. So we thank you, Linnita, for being on our platform and coming to talk with us. Village Talk, where we highlight the views and the voices of the community. On the other side of our break, we're going to talk about her Power Parent series. We want to hear about what Linnita's been doing lately and working with parents. And we definitely want to hear about your journey as an entrepreneur, some things you've experienced to help you get to where you are today. So as we transition, stay with us, ladies and gentlemen. And on the other side, we're going to hear from Linnita again. We hope you've been enjoying what we've been receiving from her. This is Village Talk, where we highlight the views and the voices of the community.
Feature your business with a full or half-page ad in an upcoming issue of Vision and Purpose Lifestyle Magazine. Advertise your business, book, or event and reach potential clients. Vision and Purpose Lifestyle Magazine covers and features stories in business and entrepreneurship, education, performing arts, sports, community outreach, fashion, travel and real estate, health and wellness, and more. Contact us at info@vnpmagazine.com, or you can reach out to our Director of Sales, Ms. Karen McConnell-Jones, at 202-904-1000. Vision and Purpose, inspiring our community.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome everybody back. Village Talk, where we highlight the views and voices of the community. Shauna, my co-host, is here with us, and our guest, Linnita Hosten, Student Success Strategist. And we've been hearing some really important points on helping our young people and helping our parents as well. Shauna, did you want to share anything before we allow Linnita to continue to share her experience?
I'm just thinking, how many parents could really benefit from having Linnita just kind of on the couch and just saying, please help me out here. So I'm just excited to hear about this series she's getting ready to tell us about, and maybe how we can get some resources from her. So no, let's keep this conversation going.
So the Power Parent series was my way of reverse engineering how I was getting to students in the midst of the pandemic. Traditionally, I would be traveling the country to do keynotes and workshops, and I haven't been able to do that. And so what better way to reach students by way of their parents while they're home? And the Power Parent series was my effort to encourage parents to have necessary dialogue with their students about career development.